Hello and welcome back. My name is Nicole Weston and I love love. I have been spending the last 8 years focused on love and all things love. If you don't know, my story began back when I attended a weekend program for professional development. I wanted to know how I could be sure to manage my mental health while working with the most incredible, empowering young mothers. I wanted to make sure that I could be at my very best to ensure that I avoided burnout and compassion fatigue. So I attended this weekend program, diving right in to make sure that I had like the best communication tools, the best self-care practices. And wouldn't you know, it completely transformed my life. I went in with the intention to help others by helping myself, and I came out completely transformed. I mean, looking back, I never would have expected that that would have happened in 2 days. So, why am I sharing this with you? Because it all started with the realization that there had to be more to life than what was going on. Like there just had to be. I knew that there was more to life. And it was my birthday. I think it was like August 2011. And that birthday, I asked for like a chapter's gift card. And I bought myself 3 Louise Hay books. And I love Louise Hay. I think she completely transformed how we do mind body work. I mean, I know a lot of other people have too, but for me, she was my person. And so I bought this one, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And I remember sitting down on my yoga mat for whatever reason. That's not something I normally do. And I just literally read the book front to back. And I know people say they do that and you wonder if they actually do it. This book, it was a start to end kind of completion. Like I was done. And I remember being so angry, like so angry with her, like really just not agreeing with anything that she was saying. Like it made sense, but I was just like really angry that if like this were true, what was my life about? I was really angry with a few of her connections with dis-ease and the ailments that we have in our life. Like that really turned me off. And I think it turned me off because it actually made sense. And mentally and emotionally, I was having a really hard time trying to make sense of it. And what I often tell people around me is that logic and emotion, like we can't be in it at the same time, right? Like we need to process our emotions. So I gave myself permission to process the emotion around just coming across some incredible discoveries and really realizing that everything that was going on in my life was happening for me. Because up until that moment, everything was happening to me. I was like a victim to everything that was happening in my life. And for the first time in my life, I had realized that there's quite a strong possibility that it was all happening for me. And that sucked. Like that moment of like self-discovery, of awareness that things were happening for me, not to me. Like that was a mind F. 100%, hands down, it rocked me. And shortly after, I found my dream job. And 3 weeks later, I was in a major car accident. I was rear-ended. And my car was 8 months old. It was my dream car. My dream car. And I remember thinking, Like, if this is happening for a reason, like, why? Why would this happen for me? What could this possibly bring me? In that moment of trauma, obviously those were not the questions that were happening in my mind, but I definitely had a lot of time afterwards laying on the couch wondering. And it wasn't until I ended up at that weekend program when I started to realize why that all came to be. We did this exercise on the Sunday where we had to really think about what it is that we wanted. And probably that morning, I discovered that I had this limiting belief. And by the way, I had no idea what limiting belief meant before I walked into that room. I had a limiting belief that I was unlovable. Like, if you had told me that before, I would have disagreed with you. I mean, I went to school for social work. I spent 4 years diving into my stuff. And maybe I didn't. Maybe I spent 4 years discovering why human beings happen to be in the situation that they're in, and how to see their strengths and their power and how brave and courageous they are. And maybe those 4 years were spent diving into the systems and the constructs that allow individuals to be oppressed, and the systems we have in place that are not equal. And maybe that's what I learned. And maybe it lit up a fire inside of me that said, I want to advocate for those who are not treated equally. So that's what I did. And then I show up at this room and I discover something that made absolute no sense a moment before was written out on a flip chart, and my whole world came crashing down again. But this time there was no one to look at. There was no one to point a finger at. Because it was in that moment when I felt like at New Year's when you shake that champagne bottle, you shake it and you shake it and you shake it so that it explodes. I was sitting in my chair trying to keep the explosion from coming up. And I didn't do it. I ran out of that room so quickly. And I went to the bathroom and I bawled my eyes out. And on the way, everything in my life was showing up, all these events, my family breaking down, my dad leaving, getting a stepmother, my stepmother dying, my mother having her work, my brother leaving, the relationship that I had that failed epically and caused so much pain and heartache in my life. All of it came down to one word: unlovable. But this time it was different. I was crying from a place of holy shit, we just figured it out. I had this burning sensation of hope inside of me that said, okay, if these two people at the front of the room are going to show me that I have a belief that I'm unlovable, and they're going to show me how to resolve that and move on, I'm in. I didn't know all of this then, though. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I think the one thing that stays true, that I believe is the one thing that we can always control, is how we respond to ourselves, how we treat ourselves in the moments when life is the darkest. How we treat ourselves in that moment is exactly what's going to make the difference. Healthy emotional management is something that I am so passionate about, because life is always going to continue to happen. Good things, bad things, sad things, exciting things. And I think we have a responsibility to ourselves to advocate, to equally process the negative and the positive emotions in a loving, peaceful way. Advocating for our right to express emotions no matter what they are. And I think it absolutely starts with ourselves, feeling okay to express pure joy in the ordinary of moments, and okay to express anger in a healthy way. But we didn't learn any of this stuff in school. So like, where do we go? So I'm really passionate about showing you how to make those tools and those skills become part of your everyday lifestyle. Joy happens in the most ordinary moments. And that day when I discovered that I had this belief that I was unlovable, and then they walked me through this exercise where I got to feel love on a completely different space. And I thought, oh, wow. If that's even possible, I'm in. And so today, 8 years later, I chose that moment that I was all in, that I'm choosing me. And it may not have looked like that, and I probably didn't think that consciously, but I just said, I'm in. And I just started to uncover all of this protection and armor that I had to keep me safe, for sure. I started to uncover it and get to know it and accept it, because it served me. It served me 100%, but I was just ready for something different. I was ready for something more. I was ready for effortlessness and peace. Not to say that my life is perfect and it's like an even keel. I wouldn't want that. But I'm able to manage and process things in a way that serves my highest intention. And I think that's what I want for everyone. I believe that we need more love into this world, and it starts with ourselves. And so what are we going to be doing each and every day that allows us to love ourselves more deeply? So for me, it started with Louise. I showed up at a program and I chose me. So curiosity is what led me here. And I want you to know that no matter what, you're not alone. And I want you to know that you are worthy and that you are loved and that you are more than enough.